Welcome to Spectrum News Within the Week. I am Rita Enum, coming to you live from Uyo. Let's take a look at the headlines. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu nominates Odion Rabiu as FCCPC Executive Commissioners. Governor Umar Eno concludes two-day intensive project inspection across the state. Plus, South Korea's former First Lady arrested for corruption. Details of these stories and more in a moment. Good afternoon and welcome back to Spectrum News Within the Week. Thank you for staying tuned. We begin the news within the week from the national scene where President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on Wednesday nominated Louise Odion and Umu Salma Isiyaku Rabiu as Executive Commissioners of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC, pending Senate confirmation. The announcement was made by the Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onauga, in an official statement on X. According to the statement, Odion will serve as Executive Commissioner, Operations, while Rabiu will take the role of Executive Commissioner, Corporate Services, if 2018. Odion from Edo State is a veteran journalist and former senior technical assistant to the Vice President Yemi Oshibanjo on media. He also served as Commissioner for Information in Edo State. Meanwhile, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu within the week directed a sweeping review of deductions and revenue retention practices by Nigeria's major revenue-generating agencies in a bid to boost public savings, improve spending efficiency, and unlock resources for growth. The order issued at the Federal Executive Council meeting in Abuja covers the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, Nigerian Customs Service, Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, NUPRC, Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA, and the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPC. The President's directive was disclosed to journalists by the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun. According to Edun, President Tinubu specifically called for a reassessment of the NNPC's 30% management fee and 30% frontier exploration deduction under the Petroleum Industry Act, PIA. He also tasked the Economic Management Team, chaired by Edun, to present actionable recommendations to the FEC on the optimal way forward. The President said the directive was part of efforts to sustain reforms that have dismantled economic distortions, restored policy credibility, enhanced resilience, and bolstered investors' confidence. In the meantime, reiterating his administration's commitment to promoting the growth of micro, small, and medium enterprises in the country, Tinubu made the statement at the 8th Expanded National MSME Clinic in Calabar on Wednesday. Represented by Vice President Kashim Shettima, he said the country had boundless human and natural resources at its disposal. The President said Cross River, as a state, had the capacity to grow almost every crop because of its fertile land. 60% of participants. Vice President Kashim Shettima Limited, National Youth Day 2025. In a statement by the special percent of the population below the age of 25, the country cannot afford to squander this asset. At the time, the federal government within the week commenced a 3-day citizens engagement tour of Enugu and Ebonyi states in the southeast, aimed at showcasing ongoing projects and interacting directly with citizens. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, disclosed this at a parley with media executives and influencers in Enugu. The minister, who was represented by the Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation, Chinasa Nnam Obodo, said after the tour of projects, the team will host a citizens engagement forum in the Enugu State Government House today by 6 p.m. to rub minds and get feedback from various stakeholders in Enugu State. Mohammed Idris, while commending the warm reception accorded his delegation, especially from Governor Peter Mba of Enugu State, conveyed President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's goodwill to the people of the Southeast. Meanwhile, the federal government on Wednesday approved the establishment of 9 new private universities across the country. The Minister of Education, Dr. Tunji Alausa, announced the approval while briefing State House correspondents after the Federal Executive Council meeting presided over by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in Abuja. He said the newly approved institutions are Taskiya University, Kaduna State, Leadership University, Abuja, Jimo Babalola University, Kwara State, Bridget University, Mbiase, Imo State, Greenland University, Jigawa State, JFAP University, Niger State, Azion Verde University, Imo State, Unique Open University, Lagos State, and American Open University, Ogun State. Tunji Alausa disclosed that the Tinubu-led administration inherited 551 pending requests for the establishment of tertiary institutions, which were subjected to stricter approval guidelines. Elsewhere, Justice Raman Oshodi of the Lagos State Special Offences and Domestic Violence Court, Ikeja, within the week struck out a 60 billion naira fraud case against former Managing Director of the Asset Management Corporation of Nigeria, Ahmed Kuru, following the federal government's decision to withdraw the charges. The withdrawal was effected through the Director of Public Prosecutions of the Federation, MB Abubakar, who filed a notice of discontinuance on July 24, 2025. Recall that the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission had, on February 11, 2025, arraigned Kuru on amended 6 counts bordering on conspiracy, stealing, and transfer of property derived from an illegal act. He pleaded not guilty. Meanwhile, the federal government on Thursday ordered the withdrawal of the case against musician Kwam Won and female passenger Comfort Emanson, citing wide consultations with critical industry stakeholders. The development came after Emanson was remanded in prison following the incident. A statement by the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, the recent events in the industry concerning unruly behavior of certain individuals are unfortunate. The minister, however, declared that valuable lessons have been learnt by all sides to these incidents and airport security protocols. He also noted that this is a clear message that the aviation sector takes safety and security very seriously. Meanwhile, the federal government has also announced plans to engage Kwam Won as an ambassador for proper airport security protocol after the recent controversy over his conduct at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja. And in the meantime, the federal government within the week presented the Foreign Career Operation Permit, FCOR, to Air Tanzania Company at the Ministry of Aviation and Aerospace Development headquarters in Abuja. A statement signed by the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry, Ibrahim Kana, which was represented by Ahmed Mohammed, said the initiative aims to enhance operational efficiency, safety and collaboration between Nigeria and the United Republic of Tanzania in the aviation sector. He explained that the F-Corp will standardize procedures, ensuring seamless interactions and efficient operations between Nigeria and Tanzanian aviation stakeholders, while aligning with international best practices. According to him, the initiative aligns with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu-led federal government's effort to promote regional integration and cooperation in West Africa, as its chairman, Abubakar Kusada, issued the warning while addressing reporters at the end of a meeting of the committee. Kusada said the federal government has so far invested about 1.06 trillion naira on the program, but wondered why Nigerians have not felt the benefit it was supposed to bring. The committee chairman noted that the government designed the program as a social safety net to provide needed succor and relief to Nigerian citizens in the aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic, the removal of fuel subsidy and the unification of exchange rates, with the attendant inflationary pressures and economic hardships. In another development, the Federal High Court in Abuja has fixed September 24th, 25 and 26, 2025 for the federal government to close its case in the decade-long trial of former National Security Advisor Colonel Sambo Dasuki, retired, over alleged unlawful possession of firearms and money laundering. Trial Judge Justice Peter Lifu directed the prosecution to call any remaining witnesses and tender all outstanding exhibits to prove its allegation before Dasuki opens his defense. Dasuki has been standing trial since 2015 on amended 7 counts filed against him during the administration of the late former President Muhammadu Buhari. On financial crime, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission within the week granted bail to former Sokoto State Governor Aminu Tambuwal after questioning him over alleged fraudulent cash withdrawals totaling 189 billion naira. Recall that Tambuwal, who governed Sokoto State from 2015 to 2023, was invited to the EFCC headquarters in Abuja. On Monday, arriving around 11:30 a.m., he was interrogated by investigators and subsequently detained at the Commission's corporate headquarters. In education, the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB, has said it will begin the screening of over 500 exceptional candidates below 16 years of age seeking admission into tertiary institutions for the 2025/2026 academic session between September 22nd and 26th. The board said the screening would be done by a special technical committee it has set up. It also said 3 venues have been selected for the screening: Lagos, Abuja and Imo State. The JAMB Registrar, Professor Ishak Oloyede, said they were among the resolutions reached during the virtual meeting of the board. He said Lagos will host 397 candidates, Imo State will host 136 candidates, and Abuja 66 candidates. Oloyede also announced that of the 41,027 underage candidates who sat the 2025 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination, UTME, more than 40,000 did not scale the first hurdle. The registrar explained that the screening is meant to ensure that only exceptional and well-prepared underage candidates gain admission for the 2025/2026 session. Back here, Akwa Ibom State Governor Pastor Umar Eno has concluded a 2-day intensive project inspection across the state, expressing delight at the large number of people, especially youth, engaged at the different project sites. Fielding questions from Government House correspondents at the Arise Resort, the last point of the inspection exercise, he said the on-site project delivery meeting was motivated by a management philosophy referred to as a management by walking round, MBWA, and the need for an on-the-spot assessment of the projects. The governor said the visit also afforded the team an opportunity to make lots of inputs and inject new ideas to ensure the project meets the desired needs of the people for the individual good and that of the state at large. The governor stressed that the state under his leadership will continue to serve the general interest of the people rather than the interest of a few. Government House correspondent Jane Uwa reports that some of the project sites visited include Arise Senior Citizen Center at Ikono, Ibiono, Ibom local government areas, CNG bus terminal at Odiok Itam, Itu local government area, flood control project at Itu local government area, road construction project at Uyo Village Road, Uyo local government area, Judiciary Officers Quarters at Ring Road 3, International Convention Center, and Arise Shopping City. Also in the list were Ibom Model Farm in Situbium local government area, Agricultural Equipment Leasing Facility, Ekri Nsukara Uyo, International Terminal Airport Clinic, Aviation Village, and other projects at the Victor Atta International Airport in Sitatai, Okobo Road, and Executive Legislative Quarters at the Dakada Luxury Estate Command and Control Center, and even the Arise Resort. And still to come in the news, Dangote Refinery slashes ex-depot fuel petrol price by 30 naira. Stay tuned for details of this and more in a moment. Many thanks for staying tuned and welcome back to Spectrum News within the week. And now we take you through the rest of the news stories. And now to Africa, where Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi within the week held talks with his Ugandan counterpart Yoweri Museveni in Cairo, in which the contentious topic of River Nile was discussed. At a joint press conference with Museveni, Sisi vowed to take all measures to protect his country's water security. Sisi's remarks were in reference to Ethiopia's Grand Renaissance Dam, GERD, fearing the dam will reduce the amount of water flowing to it. Reports say a decade of negotiations between the downstream nations and Ethiopia has failed to produce an agreement. Ethiopia has accused Egypt and Sudan of seeking to curtail its development ambitions. Recall that last year, a new Nile Water Sharing Accord, the Cooperative Framework Agreement CFA, backed by 7 countries, took effect, drawing protests from Cairo and Khartoum. The Nile River has long been a focal point of geopolitical tension in Eastern Africa, particularly between Egypt and Ethiopia. Meanwhile, Gabon's Council of Ministers has adopted a sweeping amnesty order covering participants in the 2023 coup and a failed 2019 uprising. The decision paves the way for the release of detained rebels, including high-profile figures, while the government also outlines economic reforms targeting growth, deficit reduction and job protection for Gabonese citizens. The newly approved amnesty order applies to members of the Committee on Transition and Restoration of Institutions, which ousted former President Ali Bongo in August 2023, as well as those involved in a botched 2019 coup attempt. Among the beneficiaries is Lieutenant Kelly Ondo Obiang, a former Republican Guard officer, along with Dimitri Minkum and Estime Bedima, who was sentenced to 15 years in prison for their roles in the 2019 rebellion. The government said the decision is a step toward appeasement and national reconciliation, signaling a definitive close to years of political instability. And on the foreign scene, Gaza City within the week reportedly came under intense air attack as Israeli forces prepared to launch an operation to take over the city. A spokesman, Mahmoud Basal, stated that the residential areas of Zaytwan and Sabra had been hit for 3 days, causing massive destruction to civilian homes, with residents unable to recover the dead and injured. Meanwhile, the UK, European Union, Australia, Canada and Japan have issued statements stating that famine is unfolding and urged action to reverse starvation. The joint statement also demanded an end to the use of lethal force near the distribution sites and lorry convoys. And still on the foreign scene, the Federal Court of Canada on Thursday upheld a ruling that classified Nigeria's 2 major political parties, the All Progressives Congress APC and the People's Democratic Party PDP, as terrorist organizations, while denying asylum to former member Douglas Egareva over the decade-long affiliation with both parties. In a judgment delivered on June 17, 2025, Justice Fong Ungo dismissed Egareva's application for judicial review after the Immigration Appeal Division (IAD) found him inadmissible under Canada's Immigration and Refugee Protection Act (IRPA). According to the People's Gazette, the Minister of Public Safety and Emergency Preparedness had argued that the APC and PDP were implicated in political violence, subversion of democracy, and electoral bloodshed in Nigeria. Meanwhile, the wife of South Korea's former president Yoon Suk-yeol has been arrested over a raft of charges, including stock manipulation and bribery. Former First Lady Kim Hee denied all charges during a 4-hour court hearing in Seoul, but the court issued a detention warrant, citing the risk that she may destroy evidence. Prosecutors say Kim, 52, made over 800 million won by participating in a price rigging scheme involving the stocks of Dutch Motors. She also allegedly accepted 2 Chanel bags and a diamond necklace as bribes from the controversial Unification Church in exchange for business favors. Among other charges, Kim is also accused of meddling in candidate nominations during the parliamentary by-elections in 2022 and the general elections last year. On our business news, Dangote Petroleum Refinery within the week announced a reduction in the ex-depot gantry price of premium motor spirit (PMS), also known as petrol, by 30 naira, from 850 naira to 820 naira per litre. A statement signed by the refinery's Chief Branding and Communications Officer, Anthony Chiegina, said the change took effect from Tuesday, August 12, 2025. According to the statement, the move was part of the refinery's unwavering commitment to national development, assuring the public of a consistent and uninterrupted supply of petroleum products. And still in business, the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NMDPRA, has reported that Nigeria consumed 1.48 billion litres of premium motor spirit in June. This is a sharp decline in the supply of the product compared to May. According to the NMDPRA Director of Public Affairs, George Eneita, the agency's submission to the Federation Account Allocation Committee shows the total evacuation for June 2025 to be 1.44 million litres, while the daily average reported stood at 48 million litres. According to the latest figures in report, PMS supply fell by 290.5 million litres from 1.77 billion litres in May to 1.48 billion litres in June, representing a 16.42% drop. Meanwhile, the federal government within the week indicated plans to revive all moribund steel companies in the country, more than 2 decades after a failed privatization drive left once thriving plants across Nigeria in ruins. It stated that the resuscitation of steel assets, whether privatized or government-owned, will ensure they contribute to national development as originally envisaged. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu revealed the plan at the inaugural National Steel Stakeholders Summit on the development of the steel sector in Abuja, themed Rebuilding and Consolidating Nigeria's Steel Industry, Collaborative Action for Sustainable Growth and Global Competitiveness. Tinubu, who was represented by Vice President Kashim Shettima in a keynote address, said that by revitalizing Nigeria's steel sector, the government would ignite the very foundation of industrial growth, job creation, and sustainable development. And still in business, the Chief Executive Officer of the Presidential Compressed Natural Gas Initiative, Michael Oluwagbemi, has said that Nigeria's compressed natural gas sector has attracted more than $980 million in private investments in just 18 months, with vehicle conversions surging from 4,000 to nearly 100,000. Speaking at the launch of the Portland Gas Limited and other outlets in Abuja, Oluwagbemi described the CNG program as the country's fastest growing energy sector, fueled by government incentives and private sector participation. Oluwagbemi said the transition to CNG offered motorists up to 90% savings on fuel costs. According to him, Strategic partnerships and incentives have driven the rapid expansion of CNG capacity across the country. And still to come in the news, UEFA Champions League playoff fixtures confirmed. Stay tuned for details of this in a moment. Many thanks for staying tuned and welcome back to Spectrum News Within the Week. Now we'll take you to the rest of the news stories. In health, the United Nations Children's Education Fund, UNICEF, within the week said that rubella measles is one of the major causes of defects in newly born babies. UNICEF disclosed that it did not, if not detected and treated, the disease could result in permanent hearing impairment, birth defects, cataracts, and blindness amongst others. UNICEF made this known during a sensitization training workshop for media practitioners, health educators, and health workers on the introduction of the measles rubella vaccination, which will kick off in October 2025. UNICEF Niger State lead Grace Odeyemi noted that it was necessary to intensify the campaign on rubella measles, particularly among pregnant women, saying that although it had been in existence globally for a long time, it was the first time the rubella measles vaccine was being introduced in the country. And still in health, the Nigerian Correctional Service, NCOS, has revealed a troubling mental health crisis within its custodial centers, disclosing that 8,246 inmates are currently suffering from mental illness. This figure was made public during the third public hearing of the Independent Investigative Panel on alleged corruption, abuse of power, torture, and other inhumane treatment by the NCOS held in Abuja. The Assistant Controller General of Corrections in charge of medical services, Dr. Glory Essien, highlighted the harsh reality of incarceration and its impact on mental health, disclosing that 8,246 inmates have mental health conditions in its custodial centers. Essien further explained that the prison system relies on an internal network of trained inmate leaders who assist staff in identifying those showing signs of psychological distress. To sports news now, where the 2025/2026 UEFA Champions League playoff stage fixtures has been confirmed. This follows the conclusion of the third qualifying round second leg fixtures played on Tuesday. Recall that Fenerbahce won 5-2 against Feyenoord at home to progress to the playoff stage on a 6-4 aggregate win. Pafos also booked their place in the playoff stage on a 3-0 aggregate win after beating Dynamo Kyiv 2-0. Meanwhile, the Champions League playoff stage will commence next week Tuesday. And still in sports, Bournemouth have completed the signing of French centre-back Bafode Diakite from Lille for £34.6 million. The 24-year-old will cost the Cherries an initial fee of £30.3 million plus up to £4.3 million in add-ons, which makes him Bournemouth's second most expensive signing. He made 31 League One appearances last season as Lille finished 5th in the French top flight and also played 10 times in the Champions League. His arrival follows Ilias Ebanyi's becoming the third key defender to leave Bournemouth during this transfer window when he joined Paris Saint-Germain on Tuesday. Meanwhile, UEFA has ranked the best leagues in Europe as the 2025/2026 season starts this August. In a post via UEFA's website, the Premier League is the highest ranked league in Europe based on their 5-season club coefficient ranking. The English top flight league holds the first place ahead of second position Italy's Serie A. Behind Serie A are La Liga Spain, Bundesliga Germany, and French Ligue 1 France in the top 5 positions. UEFA rankings are based by performance of the clubs from every country in the Champions League, Europa League, and the Conference League for the last 5 seasons. As still in sports, Barcelona within the week announced that the Catalan club have received confirmation from the Spanish La Liga that their new goalkeeper Joan Garcia can be registered for the 2025/2026 season because of Captain Marc-Andre Stegen's long-term injury status. The development allows the Blaugrana to alleviate their salary cap and facilitate registration of additional players without breaching the financial fair play regulations. Recall that the length of Ter Stegen's injury led to a quarrel between the goalkeeper and Barcelona in the past weeks. However, Barcelona believed Ter Stegen's recovery period will be longer, and as a result, has now put the 33-year-old on a long-term injury list. On our entertainment news, international rapper Nicki Minaj within the week congratulated Davido and his wife Chioma on their Miami white wedding. The rapper replied one of Davido's posts on X, where he had expressed his joy and satisfaction with his wedding celebration. This sweet gesture demonstrates the respect and admiration between the two artists. Their positive relationship was also evident in their collaboration on Nicki Minaj's song. Nicki Minaj praised Davido as an incredible writer and melody maker and appreciated their collaboration, stating that she had asked him to feature on the song to bring out the Afrobeat tempo. Meanwhile, Afrobeat singer David Adeleke, popularly known as Davido within the week, revealed the tragedy of losing his son Ifeanyi Adeleke was life-changing. Speaking in a recent interview with reporters, Davido stated that losing his son changed his perspective about life and his career. He also said he was proud about how him and Chioma handled the loss and were able to bounce back. Recall that Davido and his wife Chioma lost their 3-year-old son Ifeanyi after he drowned in a pool at the singer's residence in Banana Island, Lagos State, in October 2022. Lastly, in the news within the week, Nollywood actress Kate Henshaw within the week demanded justice for the younger sister of reality TV star Fina, who was critically injured in a road accident allegedly involving a Dangote Group truck in Auchi, Edo State. The victim, who had graduated just 6 days prior to the incident, underwent an amputation of one leg and risked losing the other. According to Henshaw, the truck driver fled the scene but was apprehended after an eyewitness identified as a lecturer chased him down. Recall that former BB Niger star Fina had earlier taken to social media to call out Aliko Dangote after a truck allegedly linked to his company crushed her sister. And that's all we have for you at this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtvlive.ng. You have been watching Spectrum News within the week. I am Rita Inung. Do enjoy the rest of your day.